enthusiast, if you want to know what I learned from one of my favorite Ziglar stories, then this video is for you.
Here we go.
Hey fellow enthusiasts, this is Tommy Lanham, and I am on a mission to break the monotony of the mundane and the mediocre by bringing as much enthusiasm to as many businesses, ministries, marriages, and individual lives as I possibly can. Hey, I want to ask you a question as we begin here. How many of you believe that there is something that you can specifically do in the next 7 days that would make your life worse? All right, now let me ask you a follow-up question. How many of you believe that there is something that you can specifically do in the next 7 days that would make your life better? Now, assuming you answered yes to both of those questions, here's what you said. You said, whether my life gets better or worse, it is up to me. It is my responsibility. It is in my control as to whether my life gets better or worse. Whether I move forward or backward, it is in my control. And let me just tell you, that is a great place to be. That is where you want to be. Because if you are in that place, no matter what happens, you could say, here's what I need to do to make it different. If you blame other people, then it's completely out of your control and you have no hope. But as long as you keep the control in your hands, there is always hope. My favorite motivator, Ziglar, tells a story of a lady that he met with one time that just hated her job. She asked to meet with him to just kind of help her through this crisis that she was in, and he reluctantly, because he typically doesn't do one-on-one, but he reluctantly agreed to meet with her. When she came into the room, he said that she walked across the floor with just anger in her steps. And they talked a little bit. She talked about how bad the job was, how bad the people were. And finally he says, this is what I'd like you to do tonight when you get home. When you get home, I want you to write down everything you like about your job. She looked at him and says, well, that's easy. I don't like anything about that job. I don't like anything about the people down there. And he said, well, let me ask you a question. Do they pay you for working there? She said, yes, of course they pay me for working there. And Ziglar said, so you don't like to be paid? She said, of course I like to be paid. So that's one thing you like about your job, right? Well, of course it is. And Zig looked at her and says, you know, just a minute ago you said there wasn't anything you liked about that job. And she responded by saying, well, I didn't know you were talking about that. And he asked her, don't you think that's important? She said, absolutely it's important. And then he asked her, do they pay you below average, around average, or above average for working there? And she said, I have to admit they pay me above average. And he said, do you like being paid above average? And she said, absolutely. And he said, there's two things. He said, never mind about waiting till you get home. I want you to get out a pen and paper right now. I want you to write down everything you like about your job. And he said, she just sat there. And he looked at her and goes, no, I'm serious. Right now, let's go ahead, take out a pen and paper and begin writing down what you like about your job. And she just sat there. And finally, he looked at her and he says, ma'am, let me tell you what my experience has been. My experience has been that if people are not willing to take step one, they never take step two. Finally, she looked at him and she pulled a pen out of her purse and a piece of paper. And she says, all right, what is it you told me I like about my job is? He said, they pay you for working there. Write it down. Before they were done that evening, she had written down 22 things that she liked about her job. And then Zig told her this. He said, when you go home tonight, before you lay down to go to sleep, I want you to take this list and I want you to look at yourself in the mirror. And I don't want you to say, I like my job because. I want you to look in the mirror and say, I love my job because, and say that with each one of these items. I love my job because they pay me for working there. I love my job because they pay me above average for working there. I love my job because of the number of vacation days I get with this job. And just go on down the list. Do it every night before you go to bed, and do it every morning when you get up. Several months later, Zig came across this lady again at another conference he was doing. When he met her, she had a smile on her face. She was walking across the room in a much different way than she did the first time he had met her. Tell me about what's going on with your job. And she said, Zig, you will not believe how much those people down there have changed. Now what happened? Obviously it wasn't the people down there that had changed. She had changed. She had taken the personal responsibility for herself and the way that she responded to her job. Here's the good news. When you keep the power in your hands, you are able to make the difference. You, not the people down at where you work, not the people who you go to church with, not the people in your family or in your neighborhood, not who is the governor or who's the president or whatever the case may be. It is up to you. And when you make that decision, that whether your life gets better or worse, it is up to you, then you begin to make a difference not only in your life, but in the lives of others. Do not give up that power. Do not allow other people and circumstances to determine your destiny. You take control of that. And when you do, you will feed your enthusiasm. Hey guys! If you want to become a part of the fellow enthusiast community, one of the best ways to do that is to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the button below. Go ahead, do it. I know you want to do it. Do it now. Come on. He said do something weird. Hey, fellow enthusiasts.